What's up everyone, Alex here. I have a confession to make. I actually don't like the term JRPG. Now, before you say anything, just hear me out. The reason being is because it has an inconsistent definition within the larger gaming community. Does it describe JRPGs that are made in Japan? Or does it describe a specific style of RPG inspired by games from said region? And with more awesome RPGs coming from the West that celebrate and expand upon the incredible storytelling and gameplay from games from said region, I think it's time we made a new term: Japanese-style RPGs. And it just so happens that I have 5 Western-developed RPGs in this style that are coming out this year that are taking a bold risk, inspired by some of the classic turn-based games of the 90s, and reimagining those designs and concepts using the technology and sensibilities of the modern era. I am truly excited to share this list with you all, as all of these games are already in my wish lists, waiting for their releases. So let's not waste more time, and let's find out what these games are. Sacrifier is coming out on PC in 2022, but it's going to be launching on console soon after. After I finished making this video, it came to my attention that Sacrifier was delayed to 2023. So instead of removing it and finding a replacement, I've decided to keep it in because I think it's well worth checking out. The developer says that they're trying to blend real-time action with turn-based gameplay. The fighting system is actually heavily influenced by Vagrant Story. You can target different enemy parts so you can gain certain advantages. So for example, hitting a boss in the head repeatedly enough and you might be able to blind them. What I really like about this game is it's taking the pixel-based Japanese-style RPG world design to the next level. And if you look at some of the areas that they're showing, it might remind you of 100 Heroes in the way that the map design actually has some depth to it, much like its battles. Now, it doesn't have that tilt-shift effect that kind of makes things look like they're miniatures, and I think I'm okay with that because it actually heightens the amount of detail that's actually in the foreground and the background. So there's this level of clarity that you don't see in games that don't employ this tilt-shift effect, although things might look busy, of course. But another thing that I really like about this though is that it's got some vibrant worlds and places to explore that just feel really enticing, and I really can't wait to see what this world is going to be all about. I should also add that the soundtrack is composed by Motoi Sakuraba of Tales fame, and I'm actually looking forward to hearing his compositions in this one because while it is within the genre that he's so used to, it's a very different IP than Tales, even though it has a lot of overlaps. But yeah, I'm eager to hear more about this game if you can't tell. The next game is Jack Move, which is coming out on Switch and PC later this year. When I first heard of Jack Move, I kind of thought that the gameplay might get boring just because you only control one character. But when I played the recently released demo, my opinion changed dramatically. Jack Move has you starring on a mission to rescue your father from an evil corporation, utilizing your hacking skills and the titular Jack Move to fend off the evil corporation's henchmen. And if you've been watching this whole time, you probably noticed its awesome animations. And of course, if you watched my impressions of the demo, you'll hear the punchy sound effects and see the snappy battle system at play, where every battle feels satisfying. You can try this demo out yourself. It is on Steam if you haven't yet, or if you don't have time, you can just watch my impressions of the demo, which is linked in the description of this video and linked in the card shown. The next game is Wrestle Quest, which is coming out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC in summer 2022. Some of you might not know this, but I am a huge wrestling fan. I've caught up to AEW wrestling for the past few years, and I am still loving it. But as a wrestling fan, I haven't really been happy with the direction of wrestling games. So of all the genres of games out there, no one ever thought of combining professional wrestling with turn-based Japanese-style RPGs. Until now. So Wrestle Quest story follows several wrestlers, with 2 specifically being considered as the main protagonists. What separates this from other wrestling games is that these are toys, and they live in a toy box world, not unlike Toy Story, where all the toys are into wrestling. It's a pretty cute plot, but again, as a wrestling fan, I have to admit that this is surprisingly in-depth, which actually takes into account the realities behind wrestling. So picture this. Your manager asks you to lose a match, but he also wants you to lose it in such a way that'll help build your opponent's reputation with the crowd. Now, you've probably played a million Japanese-style RPGs at this point, so hearing that the objective is to actually lose gracefully in the match sounds really intriguing, doesn't it? Because it's not enough that you just lose the match. Now, you now have to meet specific objectives in order to kind of raise the value of your opponent. And when you consider all these little minutiae that you have to consider, it kind of brings Wrestle Quest matches closer to an actual wrestling match, where people actually plan out the high spots and everything before the match, and if you have to, try to adapt to what the crowd wants at that time. Again, this is surprising to me because turn-based RPGs have all asked us to win. And so I'm eager to see how these style of objectives kind of play out in this game, and that they're generally trying something new in this genre. And of course, with the choices that you make during the story, you can even make yourself a face, or a hero, or a heel, a bad guy, much like real wrestling. Or real wrestling in quotes. And honestly, I just can't wait to see how this pans out, because it already has wrestlers like Macho Man Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, and Jake the Snake Roberts as part of the story. I simply can't wait. This is going to be a blast. Next one, we have Chained Echoes, which is coming out on PS4, Switch, and PC in 2022. The story is all about a group of heroes traveling around the vast continent of Valandis with the hopes of bringing an end to the war between its three kingdoms. At first glance, you'll notice the fantastic turn-based combat and the wonderful pixel art that just really catches your attention right away. It's got great color choices and really cool level design that's complemented by brilliant artwork and design, and just absolutely looks gorgeous. And this is probably going to shock you, it's all made by one person, Matthias Linda. If you've been watching the trailer, you're probably seeing the party turn into mechs that made them look like medieval knights, and they can fly across the environment. What kind of crazy stuff does this game even have? I just want to see more of it. And I even heard that there was a demo that was released 2 years ago, and I'm kind of beating myself up for missing the opportunity to play it. Either way, Chained Echoes is definitely one of those games I'm really looking forward to this year. And last but certainly not least, Sea of Stars is coming out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC in 2022. And much like all the games in this list, Sea of Stars itself is a great representation of the idea that we should call JRPGs Japanese-style RPGs, because this is being made by Canadians, yet feels like it just belongs in that genre. Now, a few things. This is made by the folks responsible for The Messenger, who some of you have played, and it's set in that universe. And the way that they frame it is that Sea of Stars is a classic turn-based Japanese-style RPG with inspirations and roots from some of the best games of the 16-bit era. And if you go to their website, they're actually reluctantly even saying that part of this is inspired by Chrono Trigger because, it sets too many high expectations. The story serves as a prequel to The Messenger and tells the story of two children of the solstice who can combine their powers of sun and moon to perform something called eclipse magic, which is the only magic capable of fighting off monsters and defeating an evil alchemist known as the Fleshmancer. That's all we know of the story. That being said, if you're watching the footage right now, you'll notice its bright color palette that feels refreshing amidst the more classical pixel representations within the genre, and even in this video, and making it feel like a logical progression if Final Fantasy decided to continue making sprite-based RPGs from Chrono Trigger onward, rather than making Final Fantasy VII. And that's absolutely not a knock at all. It does feel like a logical progression if you consider FF6, Chrono Trigger, and then what the game would look like. This seems to be the logical choice. I'm also very excited about this game, as it could be the Japanese-style RPG that I've been talking about that could potentially push the genre forward. Now, I'm not knocking what Japanese developers have been doing over this time, but oftentimes I see some complacency within their ranks, and there's very little innovation that happens within a long span of time. And that's why I sometimes feel that the West can kind of introduce some competition to kind of nudge these Japanese developers forward and encourage them to think outside the box. Bottom line, I simply can't wait to play this game. And that, my friends, are 5 Western-developed Japanese-style RPGs that are coming out in 2022. Did any of these games catch your attention? I'd love to read which ones you fancy in the comments below. And if you like this video, please consider giving it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video. And if you really like this video and happen to like RPGs, Japanese games, indie titles, and more, please consider joining my Patreon at patreon.com/backlogbattle. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.